Okay, well, today we have an amazing guest on the Italian American Stories podcast. Her name is Pat Benincasa. She is a artist, a storyteller, a podcaster. So I can't wait to sit down and have a conversation with you, Pat. Thank you for being here. Do you want to tell our listeners all about you?
Well, first of all, Stephanie, thank you so much for having me on. I love what you do with this podcast and keeping our Italian heritage and immigrant roots alive. Oh, yeah, I love this. So thank you for this podcast. And
Of course.
well, to tell you about myself, I'm an artist and I do a lot of different things. I taught for 30 years.
Hmm.
I'm a podcaster. And so let me answer it this way. A few years back, I was on a podcast and I heard myself say, I'm an artist and my life is my canvas.
Hmm.
Once that came out of my mouth, I thought, because when you train as an artist, you measure time in studio time, what you produce. And somewhere along the arc of my life, I figured out my life is the canvas. So it just seemed natural for me to go into podcasting. It's storytelling, and that's what artists do.
Absolutely. In all sorts of formats.
Yes, yes.
I'm a teacher also. What did you teach for 30 years?
I taught art at arts high schools, a
Okay.
Catholic school, and then I taught art at a visual arts college.
Okay.
So it was just so great being around all these talented, creative kids with their faux hawks and with their attitude. I love them.
Yep.
What did you teach?
I teach fourth grade in
Okay.
Colorado. So yeah. And it is, you're right. Like when, we're not diving into our curriculum and they have that opportunity to be creative, they blow me away how creative they
Yeah.
are. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So another quick question. Podcasting or teaching? What is what is trickier?
Whoa, that is a minefield question,
I'm not
Stephanie.
sure I can answer it, so sorry for asking.
You know what? The reason I went to podcasting is because I stopped teaching just before COVID
Okay.
and I missed it. I missed it. And I was with some friends and somebody said, You ought to do podcasting. I said, What? What the hell do I know about podcasting? Well, then fast forward, I don't know. I think teaching and podcasting have a lot in common. You know, you want your students to express, well, in art, you want them to express themselves, feel safe to tell their story. Podcasting's the same thing. You have a guest come on, you want them to be comfortable, tell you their story.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah, it's a different they have a lot of similarities. Like I have to
Yep.
know enough information to move it along, like
Yeah.
as you do. And yeah, so pretty interesting. Well, tell us about your art that you do. I'm curious about that.
Well, I've done a range of things. I have a 7-ton glass and steel sculpture skylight on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul in the Judicial
Wow.
Center, right in front of the state Supreme Court. For many years, I worked in glass and steel. And I love the way I use art glass, meaning like stained glass window glass,
Okay.
but they call it art glass. Okay. So I would use glass overlays in this skylight, falling water skylight, which is 14 feet by 30 feet. And it was a three-dimensional skylight. No one had ever done that before. And there's columns in the building. So when the sun travels, you know what time of day it is by the color
Oh, cool.
reflections. So I loved working with glass. And then I started to work with industrial American work sites.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm from Detroit. Now, what do you expect? I
Oh,
grew up
that's cool.
at the height of the big three automakers. So I left Detroit. I'm in Minnesota. I thought I left Detroit behind, but you don't leave that behind. There's something so beautiful about those industrial sites, those factories. So I started painting on sheet metal, demolished work sites, and I started adding wood and building the work sites right off the sheet metal. And
Wow.
right now they're on display at the Youngstown Center for Industry and Labor online. They're featuring all my industrial America works. There's something about that time period when we made things here.
Hmm.
And I wanted to honor that. And I wanted to honor the fact that those sites contributed to a middle class. And so growing up and seeing that, yeah, it means a lot to me.
Well, and what I love about the industrial part is the history that, I mean, you are
Oh,
touching history and reforming it in a way to honor the people who were touching it before and creating something, like you said, for our country and didn't know that this would be something that you would honor them in a way. I love that.
well, those sites, Bethlehem Steel, and you look at all these Youngstown, Republic Steel. I could go on and on and on. I spent hours digging through historical archives online looking for photographs, the history of these places. I look at how they evolved, what
Yeah.
happened. You know, when you look at River Rouge, the Rouge in Michigan, Henry Ford, that plant had 100,000 workers. I mean, think
Gosh.
about that. That's bigger
Yeah.
than a lot of cities or little towns.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
so that really, I don't know that I think it's really important to honor our history, like what
Hmm.
you're doing with this podcast.
Yeah. Yep. And then you with your art. I mean, it's just like we talked about earlier, it's different forms of honoring our history and our past, whether it's a collective or separate. It's, it's beautiful.
It
And
is.
going through the archives and photos, oh, you're speaking my world. I could do that all day.
We could get into this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You create the art, I'll write a story behind it and we're set. Well, let's talk about your family roots. Tell us where your family, what part of
Well,
Italy they came from.
my mom and dad and most of my relatives come from a little village called Mangone. It's 13 miles south of Cosenza. We're Calabrese.
Gotcha.
And so my dad came in with his family, with my grandpa and grandma, through Canada.
Mm.
You know, they immigrated that way. My mother's family came in through the States, Ellis Island, but the families knew each other.
Oh,
And
cool.
you know how it works when one or two from the village go to a place in the States, they start telling the other family members, come to this place. So they chose Detroit, Pontiac, you know, all these factories, car companies, Baldwin Rubber. I mean, there were factories everywhere. And so that's where they migrated to. And then my dad, uh, he brought his mom and dad to the States. My dad came down and he actually joined the first group of the Canadian paratroopers.
Oh,
It was the
wow.
very first unit, and he trained in Fort Benning. And after the war, he came, became a citizen, and my mom and he married. And so everybody, all the relatives that were from Mangone were in Pontiac, Detroit area.
Oh, cool. So was it a pretty good size enclave of Italians?
Oh, yes. There's a way that when you when you grow up in the 50s and 60s, and I'm a first generation, which
Hmm.
means you did everything with the cousins. You did everything, birthdays, holidays, playtimes, everything was always with your cousins and family, and everybody was always visiting everybody all the time. Oh my God, all the time. So it was really a wonderful way of growing up in two worlds.
So is there still remnants of the Little Italy, the enclave in Detroit, or is it kind of sparse like
You
everywhere
know,
else?
you know what happened? This generation, my generation, went off to college or moved out of state,
Mhm.
and everybody kind of dispersed. Uh,
Gotcha.
the older generation stayed there, but they moved to suburbs around Detroit, and so it broke. It's not the same way.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
That's kind of across the country. I think that's the story of most old Italian enclaves.
it is. And if I could share with you a quick story to
Yeah.
encapsulate that, it's from my book, My Calabria, but it's called La Bella Vita a Pontiac.
Mm.
And it goes like this: like many 1950s Italian American households, grandparents lived with one of their married children. This was a time when relatives constantly visited each other. Cousins were always together, celebrating birthdays and holidays. It seemed that there was some unspoken rule that it was okay to visit family anytime, day or night, and copious amounts of food, wine, and coffee would suddenly appear. And it was doorbell opera at its finest. Choreographed personalities speaking in animated dialect or rapid fire broken English, heads would nod, faces contort to a chorus of laughter or gasps of shocked dismay. And as a little kid, I thought those moments were no big deal because they would last forever.
Yep. Oh, that was beautiful. I love that. I can picture it in my head. It's
You can see it
beautiful.
and you can smell the
Yes.
coffee.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the faces and
Oh,
the
yeah.
food and yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I want to dive into your book. You're a very creative person. So we've talked about your art a little bit. You've got this book. Did your heritage, your growing up, did that tie into your creativity? I mean, you obviously wrote a book about your
You know,
heritage.
that's a great question. My parents had a business, they were working all the time. And no one really ever talked about art. And
Yeah.
except I had one aunt in Sudbury, Ontario, my Aunt Teresa Selfie, and she did. She talked a little bit about art, and but no one ever talked about it. But I knew from the day I could be like verbal before I could write, I was drawing.
Mm.
And I don't know if you remember in the 50s and 60s, I went to Catholic school and they had a thing called the Baltimore Catechism. And we were supposed to memorize it. And the first one was, why did God make me? And the answer was, God made me to know him, love him, and serve him. Out of my head, I would say, God made me to know him, love him, and serve him, and be an artist. Stephanie, I didn't know what the hell I was saying. It just came out.
It was in you.
It was, yeah. And I do believe our ancestors, when we come down that cosmic baby chute, I think we bring our ancestors with us.
100%.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah, and they stay with us.
Oh, yeah.
And the good and the
Absolutely.
bad.
Well, when I talk to them, I always say, my beloved ancestors. I don't
Mhm.
want the crackpots. I don't want the crazies. So I qualify it. Beloved ancestors. I
Maybe
want,
I need to start doing that.
well, you can kind of separate the riffraff, you know? You don't want to be bringing in bad spirits.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm gonna steal that from you and
So
start
I'm
adding that
careful
in.
about who I invite in.
You have to be.
But I also think there is nothing I've ever done that I've done alone. I have always done everything with their help. I know
Yeah.
this to be true.
Oh, for sure. Do you feel that through your creativity, whether you're doing your art or writing, like I feel that when I'm doing my podcast, even if I'm searching for people who are not my ancestors, I feel like my ancestors are in a way like they've blessed me to do that. Like,
Oh,
please
yeah.
do this, whether it's our
Yeah.
family or not, just keep doing what you're doing. Do you feel that? Like, I
Oh,
guess support is what I'm looking for.
okay. Now
Or
look,
saying,
let's look at this way. In life, I'm sure your relatives too, they were larger than life. I
yeah.
mean, these people were animated. They were joyful. They had a lot of sorrow, but they really lived hard. They had opinions. They laughed, they talked. So when they crossed the great divide, do you really think they're resting in peace? I
That's true.
cannot envision my Aunt Mary sitting quietly and blissful and listening to harp music. No, no. They're there whispering, hey, ask that person to be a guest, or hey, why don't you do this? When I engineered the 7-ton glass and steel waterfall, that was 614 pieces of glass
Oh my
with
gosh.
structural overlays. And I hired a structural engineer, but I saw it in my head. I saw
Yeah.
it. Now, what the hell do I know about engineering? So I keep thinking somebody way back was a builder, came forward, they came forward to help me. And
Yeah,
so I just love honoring them. I just feel that they're present and alive in everything we do.
absolutely. Well, speaking of honoring our ancestors, let's talk about your book. Um,
Okay.
I think that'd be great. That's a good segue there.
Okay, that was really good. Okay, so the book is called My Calabria, The Land Between Here and There. And I just released a second edition. I was telling you off air. And for anybody listening who's doing family research, it's never one and done. I keep discovering stuff. So when I when I wrote the stories, I wrote 4 stories. And at the time, I wasn't thinking book. I just wanted to honor my grandfather, my grandmother. I wanted to talk about growing up in an Italian American household. There were so many pieces to this that I didn't set out to write a book. But then after I wrote the 4 stories, I thought, whoa, this is a book.
Mm.
Uh-oh, now what do I do? That's part of my mantra. I want to work in glass and steel. Okay, I order glass, I have it delivered, and then I think, now what do I do? I do this all the time. I'll say something, I think, what the hell did you just say? What do you even know what you're saying? I think, no, be quiet. And just okay. Now, so
That's
once
great.
so I didn't set out to write the book, but My Calabria, The Land Between Here and There, is 4 stories, 2 from lived memory, and then 2 pieced together from silence, scraps, and records. And it's about that space between the world I grew up in and the one that my grandparents, relatives, and parents left behind. The grape arbors, the broken English that said everything, and the unspoken stories. And I had to really dig deep for those. So it's not nostalgia, it's blood deep knowing, immigrant grit. And I just can't forget these people. And the reason I called it The Land Between Here and There, if you're growing up first, second, or third generation, the Italy we know is in their memory. It's
Mm,
their memory. It's a land that
yeah.
doesn't exist except in their hearts and minds. That's the Calabria here. And then there's the Calabria there. And I went to Calabria. I went to the village where my parents were born, and all the, and everybody and the relatives. But it's really about that space for us who are first, second, third, or fourth generation. We live in this space between here and there.
Oh, I love that. And you're right, it's in their memory, but we still
Oh,
can grasp it somehow.
yes, yes, absolutely. It's so real.
Yeah. So talk about your research that you did. Did you have family documents, family artifacts that you used to help you, or did you have to dig for those?
Well,
Probably both.
and a lot of that, having to dig and research, ancestry.com, census records, uh, ship passenger lists.
Hmm.
Whoa, what a minefield of good things to find. And so after doing that, and then my brother, Gary, he hired someone, a genealogist from Mongolia, and had him put together a lot of the records.
Oh, nice.
And so it was a combination. But what started all of this was a burned book of Italian love poems. That's
Oh,
what started this whole thing. My cousin Helen Salfi Gorde had this book. It belonged to my grandfather. It belonged to Giuseppe, and it's an Italian love poems, and the book itself, 1879 was when it was published, but he carried that book with him his whole life, and it was burned and charred. And Helen called me one day. She said, "Patty, you need to have this book." I said, "Oh, okay." I mean, okay. She sent it to me, and for 10 years, Stephanie, I had it by the side of my bed on my book table.
mm,
I don't know why, but I knew I had to keep it close.
mm.
And then 10 years later, I'm looking at it. I thought, what the hell am I going to do with this? And then everything cracked open. When I started researching, the story of this book was the story of my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And uh, long story short, he was in Canada. He worked on the Welland Canal. And he and my grandmother lived there, and they raised their 3 children, my dad, Francesco, and Mariette and Teresina. But when he was working on the Welland Canal, he lost his left arm.
Oh, no.
And Stephanie, when I started researching the labor that went into the Welland and the newspaper articles, there were like 4,000 laborers that worked on the Welland Fourth Canal. 137 died, and many were
Mm.
maimed. They were giving immigrants numbers, not names, when they worked on the site.
Oh,
Numbers.
geez.
When I started researching that, it's like my whole world opened up. And I wondered, Giuseppe, what was that like? What was that like that you went to this place? And so that's one part of the story. But here's the part that really got me. So in June, when Mussolini, 1940, joined with the Germans, it wasn't even hours after that announcement, the RCMPs, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, went door to door in Little Italy and Canada, all over, banging on the door, opening the door, no search warrants, they came in. My one-armed grandfather took this book of Italian love poems, opened up the flame stove, threw it in there, closed it, they came in.
Oh,
They
wow.
searched, they left. He opened the door, he reached into the flames and pulled out the book. Italians were afraid to have anything linked to the homeland.
Oh, I see.
And they even had an internment camp for Italians in Canada. But Canada in the 80s made it right. They came out late 80s and apologized for that. And it was just a dark time in that
Sure.
history. But then this book, I thought Calabria is 70% illiterate at that time for men,
Mm.
like 84% illiterate for women. Where did he learn to read?
Yeah.
And why would he love poetry? So that's how these stories came about.
Oh, that's so amazing. So did he bring that book from Calabria to Canada with him?
He brought that book everywhere. He kept it
Everywhere.
to the day he died.
Wow. That is really so is it in your book? How did you figure out how he learned how to read or don't give any
Well,
spoilers away,
I'm
but
not going to give any spoilers. I weave a thread
okay.
that will open your eyes as to, maybe that had something to do with it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
again, anybody doing family history, I know if you're listening, you'll say, "Oh yeah, I had that moment when I found out grandma so and so went blah blah." I mean, we all discover these things.
Yeah. Now, did you use newspaper databases to do some research
Everything,
too?
everything I could find.
Yeah.
I even tried to find where did uh, these men working on the Welland Canal, when they lost a limb, where did they go locally to get a prosthetic?
And the newspapers, what I love about them is they sometimes will release those secrets that your family didn't want anybody to know.
Oh yeah. Listen, all families are messy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, really? So sometimes we find out things about our offspring, the genetics of our offspring. I mean, there's a lot of mysteries that seem to be revealed.
There is. So with the book, did you say it was published in 1879?
The book that he had, yes,
Oh,
yes,
wow. Not
yes.
that we want to have our books burned, but in a way, it probably gives it such a unique character, like having it charred
Oh my God, no
and
kidding.
it's a story. It's a historic,
You
like
know?
it's your family story about how he, oh yeah, see, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
You know, how he felt like he had to do that
he did.
to
He did.
save himself and his family.
Yes. And there's another side to this. When my dad came down to the States, he changed his name,
Mm,
changed it to Benning. And he wanted to be a businessman, which he was a very successful business. He came here without a pot to piss in, frankly.
sure.
Really, the poverty there was grinding. And so he had this dream, and he was on a bank board. I mean, he gave a talk at Michigan State about sales, and he had a high school education, and he was so embarrassed by that. And,
Mm.
and he and my mom always had Reader's Digest. They were always reading books. But he came to this country, and I'm bringing it up because a lot of our relatives did change their name,
Mhm.
and so the times were dangerous to be Italian. They
Yeah.
were dangerous. And so I never judged it. I respected his choices, and he made it safe for me to grow up in this country. Well, in 1993, I called him up. I did not discuss this with anybody. It was a Saturday morning. I said, Dad, you're not going to believe what I did yesterday. He said, you changed your name.
Oh, wow.
I had never said that out loud to anybody.
Oh
I
my
said, what?
gosh.
I said, how did you know? How did you know? He said, I just knew.
I
And
don't
I
even know
told,
what to say to that. That's so powerful.
and I said to him, you made this possible for me to reclaim the name. And I thank you for it.
Oh,
Because I didn't want him to think that I was some snotty ass kid judging the decisions our relatives had to make and do. I wouldn't
sure.
dare question it.
No. Well, and that's the thing is like it's easy for us in this day and age to judge what choices were made in history, but we
That's
weren't
right.
there. We weren't living it.
Yeah.
And the history books can only tell so much. And so many of our ancestors, they balanced those two cultures at
Yes,
home, Italian American, Italian, and then they changed their names. I mean, our we have branches of our family that did that as well.
of
Did
course.
that does that work its way into your book or your art or anything? Kind of that two culture balance?
Well, funny you should say that because uh, I do think about that. I think about that a lot. And how can it not?
Mm-hmm.
How can it not um, form who we are? And it did come into the book. And one of the stories is about growing up uh, in those two worlds because we did. We absolutely. I wrote the Geography of Memory, my Southern Italian terra firma, and it talks about how we learned to code switch because
Mm.
we had, grandmas refused to learn English. By God, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But we, growing up, learned to speak fluent grammar. We did. We
Yep.
could read it. We knew what they were. So we had a dual way of being with Americans and then with our own.
Yeah.
It just was
Such an
natural.
it's such an interesting dynamic too.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, yes, yes.
So going back to your changing your name, what was your father's response if you don't mind sharing? You don't have to if you don't want to,
Well,
but
as I said, when he said you changed your name, I said, yeah, he was happy for me.
good.
No, no,
So he was proud.
he understood there's something about reclamation.
Mm,
There is something about reclaiming identity. I always identified with my Italian broken English relatives. I always did. And being around that, I the Benincasa was there. I knew it
hmm
was always there. It never occurred to me to change it until that morning I got up and I was hell bent. I thought, I'm going down to the courthouse immediately, St. Paul. And I didn't give a care what I was going to be doing that. I had to do it.
Yeah.
It's like the whole universe stopped and said, okay, okay, we're waiting. Our ancestors, the beloved ones, we're waiting. Get down there. You know what to do,
Yeah, they said you have one task today and you're going to do
I
it.
did it. And it gives me, God, it gives me an immense joy to know that that name is associated with anything I do. That's how I see it, that anything I can do to tell their story. And it's not because they were so special. They were part of this Italian, Southern Italian diaspora. Their story is like anybody who's listening, they have those stories too.
Absolutely.
And I love
Yeah.
that when people talk about that's what they do on your podcast. They share those stories. Growing up surrounded by immigrants gave me stereoscopic vision. I can see that home isn't just a place. Our connections run deeper than maps and borders.
hmm
Italy is inside of me. It's inside of you. It's inside of me. My ancestors are always with me. And I'm artist enough to know there's always more to come.
Mm.
They're
Yep, that's
not
true.
done. They're not
No.
done. Are you kidding? You think I'm going to sit back and watch TV? Oh, no, 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 no. Somebody from some centuries coming forward saying, you ought to do this, blah, blah, blah. What are you waiting for?
Just like poking you like, hey.
Yeah, come on, let's get on this.
Well, and I think, for as much harm as social media, internet can
Yeah,
bring, there's such value because you and I 30, 40 years ago, we probably would have never met. We would not have this
yeah. Oh, I
conversation.
know.
And my ancestors came over from southern Italy, but they came straight to Colorado. And there's a difference. Like there's common threads within Italian
Yep,
Americans,
yep.
but there's huge differences.
Oh, I agree with you in the idea that we can jump on, talk from different parts of the country, and it's a vehicle for sharing good stories, goodness,
Yes,
and sending those things out into the world. That's the
exactly.
power of this.
It is. It's amazing. And when you said the facial expressions when you were reading that passage from your book, I
Yeah,
I can close my eyes and see my grandfather's face,
of course you can. Of course you can.
And it's
Yes.
so beautiful. We kind of already touched on this, but if you could have Italian Americans take one thing away from your book, what would it be? If you can answer that, that might be multiple things.
If anything, to know that you are never ever alone. Your ancestors are right with you. They're touching your shoulder, they're guiding you, and they haven't gone through anything easy. They suffered, they paid prices, but they're here, and they're here with us for a reason. So if they read my book, they would appreciate the fact that we're never alone. Our ancestors love us, they guide us, and it's a thread of continuation.
And just knowing that they're with you is so comforting.
It is. I don't do anything by myself. I
Yep.
really feel that way.
I know I have a wall right here. You can't see it, but it's just photos of ancestors,
Oh,
and I love
yes.
having it in my podcast room. It's where I research, it's where I interview, it's where my mother and I sit down and, tell a story together. And so it's beautiful.
Oh, Stephanie, right above my computer, I have an ofrenda. That's the Mexican altar to honor ancestors. And
Okay.
they are filled with relative photos, artifacts, and the people I admire, like
Yeah.
Dante Alighieri. I have a little bust because I have to. And, just Caterina of Siena. I have different people here, but anything I do, I just look up and they're looking right back at me.
Yep.
And I love that.
I do too. It's
And I
so
talk to
comforting.
them.
Yeah.
So you do it. You have them behind you. I have them in front of me, but we're never far from them.
We're never far. And speaking of that, like my whole room is filled with family artifacts and
Oh, I
people,
love that.
stuff that's been passed down forever. And it's all in one room because I
Of
want it
course it
all in
is.
my room.
Yep. That's it. Wait. You said my room. Yes, it is your room.
Yep.
Very much so, because you're surrounded by history and chronology and, oh my God, your relatives, your family, your
Yeah.
stories.
Yep. It gives such it's just such a different atmosphere from the rest of my house too, and but I want it to be that way. Like I want to walk in here and know this is my space with my family.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When I did the genealogical search on my grandfather and my grandmother, I wrote their stories, but it never occurred to me because I'm an artist that I would paint them. Hello.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I did portraits of each. And in my grandfather's, I took copies of the book pages and made that the background. And then I put artifacts from his life into the
Oh,
painting.
wow.
And with my grandmother, I put her records uh, as her background, and I put in a doily she actually made,
Oh,
and her needles, her black rosary. I have all that embedded in the painting. They're artifacts.
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. So it's not just a portrait, it's
Oh, hell no.
things that represent them and made them
It's
who they
big.
were.
Those paintings have a pulse, and they're
Yeah.
in the living room because I can't keep them in the studio. Are you kidding me? So my studio's in my backyard. I built a building, but
Oh,
they're
cool.
in the house. So every day I can see them,
Oh, that's
and they can
beautiful.
see us.
For better or
Yeah,
worse.
for whatever.
So we've talked about how you have such a great portfolio. You're an author, artist, but let's go ahead and talk about your podcast.
Well, my podcast is called Fill to Capacity, a podcast for people too stubborn to quit and too creative not to make a difference. And I love featuring people creatively problem solving and making a real difference in what they're doing. They're doing amazing things. And I interview people from around the world, scientists, storytellers, healers, activists, artists. And the podcast is a way for me to bring those voices together and just to reimagine what's possible. And they're doing all sorts, building communities, and every one of them to a person, they don't act like it's a big deal. It's just what they do.
Mm.
It's what they do. And so, man, I just love that. I just think that that's just incredible. And it's interesting because someone say, well, you're an artist. How can you be doing podcasting? And an artist is a storyteller. That's all we do. So I'm a storyteller. And at the podcast, okay, I used to do portrait painting. I'd use brushes and paint. The podcast is a portrait painting, only instead of paint, it's words.
Mm.
And
Yep.
it's the words of the guest that create the portrait. I'm still portrait painting, only
Yeah.
my guest is doing the work.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're just kind of giving them the canvas to create their
Oh, yeah.
persona, or not create it, but portray their persona and tell the world who they are.
And they're doing a self portrait and they don't even
Yeah.
realize it. And I love it.
Oh,
So,
that's so cool. I've
and
never
then,
thought of podcasting that way. That's brilliant.
and I also do a graphic about each guest and their work that
Oh,
goes with the
cool.
podcast. So I showcase their life. Actually, it's an excuse to do art. I mean, how the hell am I going to do a podcast without making it art? I mean,
Oh,
really?
yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, okay.
So you're like, each episode cover art is something that you
That
created.
person, yep, for
Oh,
that person,
cool.
honoring them. I want to honor them.
Oh, and then they get to walk away with like a little gift in a way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
absolutely.
Very cool. How long have you been doing the podcast?
I think this is my 4th year.
Okay, nice.
So it took a couple years to kind of get in the groove and figure out between microphones and roadcaster duos and all this equipment. But I love podcasting. I love these
I do
people.
too.
Yeah.
Yep, I do too. It's it does take a while though to get into your groove, to get comfortable
yeah.
with it. Like I listen back to some of the early episodes and I'm like, oh
I
gosh,
know.
I hope nobody ever listens to those.
I know. I just cringe thinking, oh my God, did I really ask that over and over again? What was I thinking? Oh,
Oh, I know. When I first started the podcast, my mom hadn't joined me yet, so it was just me, and I would have these awkward laughs at weird times, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's so horrible.
But Stephanie, I gotta ask you, why did you do this podcast?
So I've always been into genealogy, researching my family since I was a kid. I mean, I just loved it. And then I started I kind of hit a wall with ancestry.com. You know, you kind of get to that point where it's like, I've seen all of this. I don't know what to do. So I started diving into the newspaper databases and searching for my family. Well, my family's from the Denver area. So I kind of knew like keywords to type in to see if I could pull up, something about my family. Well, I would run across articles, headlines would grab my attention about Italian Americans that I wasn't related to. And I'd read the article and I'm like, wow, holy smokes, what a story. And I'd print it or save it.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, I have a whole file of articles with Italian Americans that I'm not related to. But I had to keep them. Like I couldn't move past them. I couldn't throw it away. I was like, I have to keep this and remember it. And I'm not related to this person. And so I thought, I could turn this into a book, but that's a hard undertaking. And so then my next step was, well, I could tell their stories on a podcast. And so that's how it got started, was in a small little file folder of articles. And I just re-released my very first episode was Angelina Garamoni.
Yes, and I'm still listening to that one. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. And she was the first article that I ever found. And I fell in love for as crazy as the story is, I fell in love with her story. And she was honestly the spark that created the podcast, because I kept going back. Something drew me to Angelina and I was like, I have to tell her story. And so That's the start of Italian
But
American Stories podcast.
I love that origin story. And you know what I really love? That you couldn't let go of those people.
I couldn't.
What is, listen, Italy is so small, we're probably all cousins. So
Yes.
you you couldn't let go of them. I
It's true.
love that.
Yep. Yeah.
Talk
And
about a
now
cosmic nudge.
100%. Yeah. From ancestors, like you said, that I don't even probably know I'm related to or not related to. And now I have binders of articles.
Oh yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I have so many stories. But yep, that's how I started it. So,
Oh,
and
that's
like you said,
wonderful.
it's the way that I do my art. Yeah. And
It
sometimes I feel
is.
like I'm in college researching and writing a script.
Oh, always doing the scripts. I'm right with you. Yeah. And I listened to your one with Michelle Danner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I watched the movie last night. The
Did you?
Italians. I loved it. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize she was the mom.
Yeah, how
I mean,
cool.
whoa. Anyways, through your podcast, I'm learning new things. That's what I want to tell you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, this wonderful crazy world we live in now. We do have this
Yeah.
opportunity to meet with each other, and that's good. I'm
Yeah.
glad you liked the movie. It was a
Oh, I
cute
loved
movie.
it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, what's next for you? Do you have another project in the works?
Um,
Continuing projects?
I I'm always going to be doing the podcast, God willing. Actually, I've got a project that I'm working on. There's something called the Upper Midwest Literary Archives at the University of Minnesota,
Hmm.
and they're going to have the Pat Benincasa collection, which means when you talk about archiving, I've got 50 archiving boxes, archiving markers. I'm going through everything. They want to archive the podcast, my journals, my notes, my lectures. Um,
Wow.
but what really makes me happy is that my Calabria, the land between here and there, will live there. My relatives will be
Mm.
there. They will always be there. And so
Wow.
I've never saw my life in terms of archiving whatever I've done, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm learning a lot about, and it takes me a long time to figure out what to do. As you said, like I do a lot of different things. Um, so yeah, I'm just trying to organize my disorganized life.
Oh, that's really what an honor though that will be archived for you.
I love Minnesota. I fell in love with this place the second I came. Even though my Aunt Mary Lucarelli said to me when I went back to Michigan, she goes, Patty, what do they eat? I said, oh, Aunt Mary, everything is white. And they put lye in their fish, lutefisk. She was horrified. Oh my God. And then she gave me a box of todili and all these, beautiful things to eat. And, oh, Patty, take this back with you. Oh, as if she was giving me a care package for outer East Slavovia, you know?
Oh,
But I
that's
love
so great.
Minnesota. I love this place deeply.
So did you grow up in Michigan?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Pontiac, Detroit area.
Okay.
Then went to Michigan State and then Wayne State University for grad school.
Okay.
And then moved here thinking, oh, Detroit's behind me.
Just keeps
No.
drawing you back in.
Yes.
Have you heard of this? I did an episode a while ago, the Evangelista massacre, Benny Evangelista and his family in Detroit.
I have to get to that one.
You'll have to get to that one. It's crazy.
I will listen to it because I saw it was Detroit. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. 1926-ish, I think. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's a fascinating story.
You have a lot of fascinating stories on your podcast. You do. You do.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to hit every state. Some states are easier than others, and I
Yeah.
always kind of get drawn back to Colorado, but I know it, so
Sure. Sure. I do a lot with Minnesota. So yeah, I understand.
yeah, you know the area, like the keywords and everything to search
Oh
for.
yeah.
So, well, where can our listeners find you? And I'll plug all of this in the notes.
Well, thank you. You can go to my website. If you Google my name, Pat Benincasa, you'll go to Pat Benincasa Art. And on my website, you can see the industrial paintings. You can see filter capacity. is there with all the artwork and the episodes. And if you want to listen to the podcast, any podcast platform for Fill to Capacity, you can listen there too. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's
And
how you find me.
where can they buy your book?
If you go to my website, you can buy it there or go on Apple Books and buy it there.
Okay, perfect. All right. And like I said, I'll plug all of that in.
Oh, thank you.
So I have kind of a big question for you. And
Uh-oh.
you know, if this is too much, we don't have to go there. But if you could leave a message for future generations of Italian Americans, what would you say to them?
That is a profound question. And for the generations coming up, know where you come from and you'll know who you are. That is a profound knowing. Nothing can shake that. Nothing.
Yeah. And it can drive you too and move you forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Knowing where you came from. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for answering that question. I know. I was like, why I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. Why am I doing that? But
No, it's a good question. And it's a fair question because what have we been talking about? Legacy, ancestors, the work that we do, the lives we touch.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
frankly, I thank my lucky stars that I've come into this world as an Italian. I'm just going to say that, okay?
Yep.
All right.
I do too. And I think everybody, no matter what you came into this world as, you should thank your lucky stars if that's what you came in. But I'm really glad I'm an Italian too.
That was very diplomatic, and I appreciate your ecumenical approach.
Thank you. Oh, well, this was such a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm just honored to be here. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Of course. Thank you. It was so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.